Hey guys, I normally don't do anything with breaking news, but I've been hearing a lot of scuttlebutt about the migrant caravans bringing up people from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the DRC, and they may have some Ebola cases in there. I don't know if that's true, first of all, but if it is true, then you guys need to be prepared. Now, I went and I studied up on signs and symptoms and different things like that. I figured I'd help you out with that. I did get a lot of my information from the CDC. I don't know how accurate some of their stuff is. I don't know if they have any kind of an agenda. But I didn't want to go by hearsay, so I figured I'd go to someplace that supposedly is in the know as far as problems like that. First of all, you need to know if you have a pandemic plan. If you don't, you need to make one. Do you have enough stuff to stay self-quarantined? Let's say, it becomes widespread. See, I live in El Paso. I'm right on the border. So it is a bigger, probably, worry for me than it would be somebody that lives in North Dakota. Okay? You have to have enough food, water, way to filter water. Now, do keep in mind that those Soria mini filters, they're not going to filter out an Ebola virus. Okay, I do not know if the public water system is good enough to kill off the Ebola virus in the public water system. Okay, somebody dies upstream, leaks bodily fluid into the reservoir, it gets sucked in for the water treatment facility. Yeah, I don't know if that virus would be killed in the process of purifying the drinking water in the cities and towns. Okay, probably, but that's something you need to find out. You'll need food. That goes with that saying. You'll need some way to fix that food. Now, in a pandemic, chances of services stopping right away are slim because it takes a while for things to burn their way through the population. People will still go to work because they know they have to pay rent for a while. So in the case of a pandemic, not everybody's going to fall sick all at once, just like they do in the Congo. It's one here, one there, one here, this family, that family, so you would have time to stockpile a little bit of stuff if you started noticing that they said, oh my God, there's Ebola in Philadelphia. Okay, no, I have not heard of anything like that. That was just a name off the top of my head. Then you would have time to, get water, fill up your water bob in your bathtub, fill up every container you have. Go down to the store and get cases of bottled water and then gallons of water and then maybe those 5-gallon things of water. Anything like that. Water is a bigger issue than anything. So definitely want to have a lot of water and food. Okay, medicines. I will get into that later. Do you have a public type job? Do you work at the airport? Do you work at a hospital? Do you work at a clinic? Do you work someplace where you're in contact with a lot of different people, like Circle K or 7-Eleven or any of those quick stores? Okay, are you a salesperson for Walmart and you're always talking to people? That's a concern that you have to decide whether or not the risk is worth it to you. And of course, right now it's not an issue. I'm going over this now because if it did become an issue, you need to at least have thought about it in advance. Do you have any kind of protective gear? Do you have N100 masks? They say N95. I'm going to say get the better mask, N100. Do you have gloves? Okay. Do you have plastic sheeting, duct tape to keep someone that might be possibly infected separate from the rest of your home? Let's say you work at Circle K and some guy came in and had a nosebleed right in front of you. And you had already gotten his money. You had touched it with your hands. Okay. At that point, if it was an Ebola outbreak, you wouldn't want to go home and give that to your family. Okay. So it's very difficult to detect early on. Until you start showing symptoms, it's hard to detect unless you are in positive contact with a positively infected person. Okay, then they can do a blood test and then they send it off, and the blood test is actually the final word on it. Unless you're hemorrhaging everywhere, it's the final word as to whether or not you have Ebola. Anyway, the plastic sheetings and duct tape, that say, you know, okay, I think I might have been infected. The hospitals have got several cases. I don't want to go there in case I'm not, okay, which could be an issue, right? So you want to use plastic sheeting and kind of isolate one area of your home, the garage, the back porch, the bedroom that nobody ever uses, whatever the case may be, okay? You'll need some plastic sheeting and duct tape just to keep things separate. You're going to need cleaning agents, Lysol, bleach, hand sanitizer, you know, spray Lysol, right? Things that you can clean with using gloves. Now, on dry surfaces, if just somebody touches it and they don't have anything like no bodily fluid on their hands, the surfaces can hold virus for a couple of hours pretty handy. Okay, so if you noticed that that guy at the store had a nosebleed, clean the countertop with bleach immediately. Okay, you know, if you decide to stay, if you don't decide to say, oh shit, I'm out of here, I'm not going to deal with this. So clean the countertops with something that they recommend, hospital grade disinfectants. I don't know what those are. You'll have to look those up. And if you don't have any, you may or may not want to get some. Okay. There's a lot of things you can do to minimize any risk of Ebola. Okay. It does have to have, okay, let's go over the symptoms. The symptoms are severe headache, fever, fatigue, weakness, muscle pain, abdominal pain, okay? Now, the abdominal pain, the unexplained hemorrhage, like the nosebleed, bloody diarrhea, severe bruising, that's actually bleeding under the skin. So if you notice somebody is not feeling well and they've got big old huge bruises on them, yeah, that is actually a symptom of Ebola. Fever, muscle pain, weakness, fatigue, abdominal pain, blah, 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 diarrhea, vomiting is one. Now, the transmission, this is how you can get it. Granted, you know, I don't know about the airborne thing, whether if they cough in your direction. I would assume that the fine droplets that somebody coughs out are considered bodily fluids. So, you know, if somebody coughs in your face. Now, the things that can, on the transmission, is blood or body fluids. That includes urine, semen, sweat, feces, vomit, breast milk. I'm sure coughing with the fine droplets of air that you don't, of mist that you don't even see. You can get Ebola from objects, okay? Like needles, syringes, doorknobs, countertops, bathroom flush handles, bathroom wash handles, you know. It's something you need to be aware of. You can get them from infected fruit bats or primates. Like if you got an exotic pet and you've got a pet monkey, okay? And, you know, you can get it from that monkey if they manage to catch it somewhere, okay? Now, the semen thing, even after a man has let's say he had it, he recovered, which is rare, it can stay in his semen for a while. So even if he's recovered, if he's your husband, don't, you know, have sex, right? Not for a while, not till that's all been cleaned up and cleared out and he's been declared free of the virus. Now, the other fluids are like eye fluid, like the fluid inside your eye, spinal fluid, semen, like I said. Now, oral, vaginal, or rectal, or anal sex can give you Ebola. Okay. You are pretty much non-infectious until the symptoms appear. You can get it from bushmeat. Okay. Like they, you know, would kill something out, wild game of some sort, and then bring it back and sell it to people. All right. Mosquitoes and other biting insects can transmit it. Okay. Like ticks, maybe, biting flies, mosquitoes, things of that nature. Now, like I said, how long it can stay on dry surfaces is usually just a few hours, but you know, let's err on the side of caution. And then body fluid, like say, you know, he coughed on your countertop, it can stay several days. Again, err on the side of caution. If you have any idea somebody might be infected, then of course clean. Okay. Now dogs can, now from what I understand, dogs and cats can carry it, but they don't know that any dogs or cats have ever come down with it. This is what I understand. Now I could be wrong, but the way that's what it read to me. Now exotic pets, like I mentioned, can give it to you. Pigs can get Ebola. Okay. Now they were talking about this big swine flu. Well, what if it's not swine flu? What if it's actually Ebola in the pig population and they're just not letting everybody know because they don't want people to be panicking? Okay, that is a possibility. I don't think it's a very big probability, but it is a possibility. Because, here, where is it at? I wrote notes because I couldn't remember it all. Because there's like a bunch of countries right now that are having problems with avian influenza and swine flu and stuff. And that's Iran, Nepal, China, Nigeria, places, man. The DRC, of course. There's other places in Africa that are having a problem, I think, with the swine flu. But don't get me quoted on that. Now, they've had another, a thing called Candida something or other in New York that I guess is some sort of a super bug that people are getting in hospitals. And my point bringing all this up with the H5N8 and the H5N1 and the swine flu and Ebola and that Candida thing is because there's a lot of things happening right now. Okay, and there's a lot of different directions you may have to look in order to keep yourself and your loved ones safe. That's why we prepare, guys, is so that we know how to prepare. So now the prevention of Ebola is avoid contact, of course. That goes without saying unless you're, got a death wish. You need to avoid the bedding, the clothing, needles, medical equipment, anything that person has had close physical contact with. Okay, if you think somebody has Ebola and they've used your bathroom, you might not want to use that bathroom for a while. And if you do go in there fully dressed with your protective gear, and that includes suits that, that gets into a whole nother, the PPE equipment, personal protective equipment, that gets into a whole nother area that I am not real up on. Okay, I do know about the masks and gloves, and, but they're talking full body suits and the whole 9 yards, which, if you ever seen, those hazmat suits, I suppose that would be the way to go. But then you have to be real careful taking them off because if you touch the outside of the suit, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's a lot of things in that. There's no vaccine for Ebola, okay? They have a trial something that they're using, that they've used in the past that looks promising, but it's not a, quote, cure for Ebola, okay? Now, how you're diagnosed with Ebola. A diagnosis, of course, through the blood and body fluids, contaminated objects, infected bats, primates, semen, all that stuff, can give you the Ebola, and they would have to test your blood and body fluids in order to be diagnosed for it. Early detection is difficult, like I said. If you're symptomatic, they'll test your blood. Now, I don't know. Somebody mentioned Tamiflu, but I don't know if Tamiflu would actually do any good with Ebola because it's, I guess it's a virus. But now, the last Ebola virus, I couldn't, find any Tamiflu without going to the doctor and all of a sudden, And there was some stuff that the health ranger, goodness. I would have to find a link and put it down below, okay? He mentions some stuff called Z Ying Di Wang Tang. Okay, I totally butchered that pronunciation. It's XI. The next word is JIAO. The next word is DI. The next word is HUANG. And the last word is TANG. Now, you can maybe know how to pronounce it better than I do, but that's supposed to be helpful if you are showing signs of the Ebola virus. Now, I do not know if that's true. I'm not a doctor. It is a Chinese medicine. Something about a blood heat formula or something like that. I have some because I went ahead and ordered some last time. Now, originally they made it with rhino horn or something like that, but I think it was rhino horn. Anyway, they use something, water buffalo horn now, I think is what they use. But regardless, I have it in my bug out bag. I have it in my bedroom, stacked up with other preps that I've never shown you guys. So you know, there's things that you can do to make yourself at least mentally feel more prepared, and that would be one of them. Now, I don't know if the stuff is really effective, but if it's a full-blown pandemic and I can't get into the hospital and I have that, yeah, I'm going to take it because it's the only thing available to me. Regular antibiotics aren't going to touch it, you know, like your amoxicillins and stuff like that. It's not going to touch it at all. Not going to do anything for you. The only thing at that point you could possibly do is, if you can't get into a hospital setting, is to treat it symptomatically. From what I understand, it's like a 60% fatality rate, but I think in the last week or two, they've had like a 90% fatality rate. Maybe it's just the ebb and flow of, okay, this group, you know, only had a 20% fatality rate, and this group's got 90, and if they'd lumped them all together, it would have made 60. But whatever the case may be, it may or may not be morphing or changing or whatever they call it, okay? So it's something to be aware of, right? Because with a 90% mortality rate, can you imagine if that got loose in the population? Okay, oops. That means 1 out of 10 persons would survive. That's it. 1 out of 10. How many dead bodies would that be infected with Ebola? How many families would die? Like, everybody in this family died, but 2 people in that family survived. Okay? You know, you can't say, oh, well, 1 person in my family has survived, so our name will go on. Well, no, not necessarily. The only way to be safe from a pandemic, okay, of any sort, is to be prepared and to have knowledge. I would suggest that you guys go out and you really, you know, look it up, okay? Study up on it. Go to the CDC, go to the different places, and find out about infectious diseases and what to do about them. It's up to you to study up on it. I'm only here to try to help you a little bit with this, but it worried me, so I figured if it worried me, it might be worrying you guys. So, you know, that's why I wanted to come in here and tell you all about it. I'm going to shut up now and get off here and let you guys do what you're going to do. The cat's just knocked over the thing. And anyway, if you guys would hit the thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Check the links down below for my EMP Shield Unit discount coupon code. And also, I may have a couple of other links down there for you. So that maybe you can, you know, the Health Ranger guy and all that stuff. So look in the description below for those, and I'll put those in there if I can find them. But I shouldn't have a problem with that. So anyway, you guys have a good day and a good evening, and y'all come back and see me.